Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to Festo's exhibitor pitch here at ACHEMA Pulse. And with warm, I mean warm. It feels like 30 degrees in here. Hopefully, it's also summer wherever you are in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dorothy Gelmar, and I'm very happy to introduce our next topic for the 30-minute session. What is it about? It's about smart products and innovative concepts for control valve applications. And I'm sure you want to know who the experts are. Here they are. It's Alex Vargas and Dr. Patrick Henze. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Alex.
Thank you, Doro.
Hello, Doro.
It's summer here. I don't want to change clothes with you now.
No. Okay. Yes, indeed, it's actually warm. But also, thank you very much for the kind words and introduction. So welcome to our session. My name is Alex Vargas. I'm responsible for the product line process control.
And my name is Patrick Henze. I'm responsible product manager for positioner and control devices.
Together, both of us are actually excited today to show you two absolute highlights we are bringing to the market this year. And they are very related to what the name of the session is, actually control valves, control valve applications. But before we start, let us reflect on how does a control valve usually look like in the installation. Usually, in the standard way, you have a process valve, such as a ball valve or a butterfly valve, for example. Then on top, you have a quarter turn actuator. And at the end, you have also a positioner. So by this, the three elements can be assembled together easily because you have standardized interfaces for both connections between process valve actuator and also the positioner itself. However, process plants, they look completely different depending on the industry segment, depending on the application. For example, in case you have a large size actuator, you might require a booster because the flow rate of a positioner is not high enough. So you need a booster. Additionally, in case you have a safety application, you might require a pilot valve for so-called ESD, emergency shutdown applications, for example. So you need an additional pilot valve. And what happens very often also in process plants, especially in areas or applications like mining, mineral processing, for example, or even in petrochemical industry, the air quality from the compressed air is not good enough. So what do you need for that? Of course, a filter regulator. So at the beginning, I mentioned, usually you need a process valve, an actuator, and a positioner. But what happens in these cases I just mentioned? So you require a booster, a pilot valve, a filter regulator. And the challenge comes actually whenever these additional devices have to be assembled into this control valve unit. Why? Because you require, due to the lack of standardized interfaces, you require additional piping, which needs to be to be bent, because usually this is a rigid piping. You need also the fittings and so on. So all these is actually quite complex and cumbersome to install, especially in the commissioning phase, isn't it? Yeah. So, and do you have? I'm sure you have a picture to show us exactly how does this look like nowadays.
Yes, indeed. If you look at the typical installation today, you see it here. Beside a positioner and a pneumatic actuator, you have additional instrumentation like volume booster to increase the flow rate, like filter regulator, to which ensures you the right air quality and also the right pressure, and also solenoid valves. In a safety-related application, you use a solenoid valve for safety shutdown. And there are no standardized interfaces here for all the components. They are assembled together with accessory and also with this rigid piping here. And you see also many connection points for this rigid piping, and all connection points could be a source of potential leakage. And also, if you look at maintenance, or if you want to replace or add some functionalities, it's not easy here. It's a very complex installation. You can't do it on-site at a customer. You have to deinstall everything, and you have to arrange every new banding of the piping new, and then you can add a new function. So it's very complex, it's time-consuming, it's cost-consuming installation.
Still, actually, as you see, this is not the easiest way, and also definitely not also the smartest way. Still, it is state-of-the-art, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly how this is being done today. And well, this is as I said at the beginning, we are launching two new products which address exactly this problem, let's call it that way, this challenge. So Patrick, can you show us more exactly what are the two new products?
Yes.
Let's go to this display.
Let's go to this display.
Yep.
Here are our two new brand new products we are launching this year. One is a positioner CMSH, and one is an installation concept. It's called VTOP. But let's start with our positioner CMSH. CMSH is a two-wire positioner with hard communication, fulfilling all the requirements for harsh environmental outdoor application. It has a sturdy metal housing. It's corrosion resistant. We have also approvals for functional safety and explosion protection. And also it's suitable for all common rotary or linear actuator, single or double acting.
So these were, of course, let's say the kind of like the high-level features we have embedded into the CMSH as a new product which is coming up. But I'm sure, Patrick, that beside the sturdy housing, there is more to tell our customers more about it,
yes,
right?
You are right, Alex. There are several benefits for our customer. Let's begin with the positioner CMSH with the internal positioning system. It's the main component of our positioner CMSH, and this integrated pneumatic positioning system is a proportional system with a very high flow capacity on the one side, but on the other side it's also high dynamic. And with these two features, we are able to control very small actuators very precisely, but also very large actuators very precisely without any additional instrumentation. So we have flow capacities about 400 liter per minute for single acting actuators and 300 liter per minute for double acting actuators. Also, what we have done, we have integrated the functional safety feature. Normally, if you have functional safety, you need an external solenoid valve. I have showed before here for a safe venting of your actuator. What we have done here, we have integrated the safety function in our positioner CMSH. This we have done by integrating two microcontrollers. One microcontroller is for the normal operation, and the other microcontroller is for the safety operation. So there's a clear separation of these two functions. During the safety shutdown, you can receive all information from your positioner from normal operation, like diagnostic data. Every data is available during the safety shutdown. And with this second microcontroller, we ensure our safe venting of our positioner, and so for our quarter-ton actuator or pneumatic actuator, and so for safe shutdown of our process valve. And with this second microcontroller, it's also possible to have some intelligent diagnostic functions. It's not a stupid solenoid valve. It's a microcontroller. You can do some diagnostic functions. We can make an internal cyclic self-test of our safety function, and so reach a very high degree of diagnostic coverage. Also, we have some safety-related digital inputs at our positioner CMSH, so you can install the positioner CMSH in an existing safety infrastructure, so no need of new installation is necessary. You can use your existing infrastructure to install the positioner CMSH. When we look for the commissioning of our device, we have this large plain text display. With this plain text display, it's very easy to make an efficient commissioning of your device. When you power up the device, you are in the so-called process view. Here, all process variables are shown, like the actual target position, but you can also go to other values like the analog input-output values, and also to the temperature values we measure with our CMSH position, ambient temperature, but also very important, we have integrated pressure sensors here. We can also monitor the pressure in our actuator chambers and also the supply pressure of our actuator. When you go up, you go to the message view. In the message view, there are the device status displayed according to the NAMO recommendation. You see also here in clear text a description of the device status. You can skip it and can go down to the configuration view. Here you find all necessary parameters which are necessary to configure your device. In this configuration view, we have several guided setups which guide you through the commissioning process. In this guided setup, they are all most important or most relevant application parameters you can choose, and you can go through this guided setup step by step. I will show you this here. So in the first step, you can choose between your local language. You can choose between German language, English language, or whatever you want. In the next step, there is the display orientation. It's also possible to rotate the display per software. So it's necessary, if you're depending on your installation conditions, it's necessary that you have to rotate the reading direction of your display. You can enter here, for example, and can choose different reading directions of your display here. Then next step will be you can choose an assembly-related parameter like actuator type, if you have a rotary actuator or a linear actuator. In the next step, then the exhaust position. Exhaust position is important for the display of the venting position of the positioner, if you have a normally open or normally closed valve. Then you come to the additional instrumentation. So you can configure here additional instrumentation for an optimized control of the additional instrumentation. For example, if you have installed a volume booster, you can choose here in your configuration software the volume booster, and the control parameters are optimized with regard to the volume booster. In the next step, you also see here the progress bar on the upside, so you are guided step by step through the most important, most relevant parameters for the configuration. Here's a tight close function. A tight close function ensures you a tight closing of your process valve. You can choose here the upper and the lower limit. And last but not least, the control mode. Depending on your application, you want to have a very precise control, but also you want to have perhaps for an application a very fast control. And for fast control, you can choose between these different control modes. And then finally, the initialization will start here. And during the initialization, it's an automatic initialization. The positioner learns about the best optimized control performance, optimized according to your installation conditions, and also learns about the mechanical end stop of your application. This could be all done locally, but it's also possible to have a remote access and also do the remote commissioning of the device. Great.
Well, thank you very much. Before we go and to take a look exactly how this can be also done remotely, I would just like to highlight that as you have seen, we have several technical features like microcontrollers, 2 microcontrollers, the integrated pressure sensors. But it was very important, beside all these additional functions which are innovative, was also to design a display which is intuitive, as you have seen, which actually guides you step by step whenever you are doing this local commissioning of the positioner. But now come back to what you just say in advance. So this is whenever you have the local commissioning of or the setup of the positioner for the linear or the quarter turn actuator. But this can also be done remotely.
Yes, we have a hard communication, and through the hard communication and FDI or FDT-based methods, it's possible to have a remote access on our positioner. And for example, we have a device DTM. In the device DTM, you have different kinds of views, a process view, but also a configuration view. In the process view, for example, you see different actual values of the position, of the target position, actual position, and also historical values and also trend values are shown here. Also, you see the device status on the display. And also, we see here the values for temperature, because we have also an integrated temperature sensor for monitoring the environmental temperature. And also we have the possibility here to monitor the pressure not only of the supply pressure, but also the pressure of the actuator chambers, and also the historical values of the pressure values.
And then you have also, I guess, what about partial stroke test?
Yes, sure.
Mention something?
Yeah. if you look here, the CMSH has a lot of diagnostic functions. One function is the partial stroke test, but we have also basic diagnostic functions like simple counters, but also monitoring function of the CMSH positioner itself. The CMSH positioner is monitoring his electronics, his integrated sensors, his pneumatic positioning systems. But we have also advanced diagnostic functions with our integrated pressure sensors. And with these integrated pressure sensors, it's possible not only to monitor the device itself, we can monitor also, for example, in a partial stroke test, the breakaway pressure of a process valve. So during the partial stroke test, we measure also the time, but we measure also the pressure which is necessary to move a process valve. And if the breakaway pressure changes over time, this is an indication about a corrosion, about a sticking of your process valve, and you can do some predictive maintenance and make some thresholds, set some thresholds in your software which informs you about a corrosion, about a sticking of the process valves, and you get some information, some device system information about this. So with this advanced diagnostic function, it's also possible that we have a more reliable system with advanced functions.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick, for this information about the CMSH. And as you have seen, this has really been, in a nutshell, what the CMSH is capable for. And it's actually, I would like to mention that this completing our lineup for positioners from Festo for process automation. We had already a 3-wire positioner for general applications, general purposes, called CMSX. And now with the CMSH, we are actually completing, as said, the lineup for positioners, also addressing definitely more demanding applications when it comes to hazardous locations, explosion areas, as well as safety, plus, of course, also the different diagnostics and so on, what we have heard just from Patrick. But now, you remember, I mentioned at the beginning, we have 2 new products, actually, which we are launching. The first one has been the CMSH, and now it comes to the second one, which addresses actually this completely new installation concept. And Patrick, tell us more about the VTOP. You said, yes, you showed at the beginning a little bit, but tell us more the details.
Yeah. VTOP is an installation concept which makes your life easier for the installation of a complete solution. We have seen at the beginning how complex it is to install all the different components with non-standardized interfaces, with all these metal pipings together, and VTOP makes here your life easier, more reliable. So starting here, we have our quarter-ton actuator, DFPD, with an internal air routing to this mounting bridge. And then we have our positioner CMSH, which is suitable for this new mounting interface according to a new standard called VDI 3847 standard. And so no tubing piping is necessary to attach the positioner to our actuator. But what we see also, you can attach additional instrumentation without any piping, any additional tubing, simply by mounting it directly to our positioner actuator combination.
So this is, as you see, where actually what I mentioned at the beginning, where the loop is being closed. When I mentioned that in case you need additional elements like the booster, the filter regulator, or the pilot valve, for example, with this concept, you reduce, of course, the additional piping and so on. So this is the part of the innovation. But one question I do have, I see this, we said we are launching the VTOP with a modular design. What are the modules we are launching this year into the market?
So let me give us a more detailed description of the models here. We have some hardware with us, and we can show it here. So these are the different VTOP models we have. One is a pneumatic adapter bridge. It's directly mounted on the actuator, and the air guiding comes from the bottom side here to our positioner CMSH. On the top side, there's this new mounting interface according to standard, and you can directly mount the positioner without any tubing piping to the standard interface. Then we have our patented integrated air routing from the module to the next module. And the first model here we are launching this year are our volume booster. The volume booster increased our flow capacity of our positioner CMSH from 300 or 400 liter per minute to about 2000 liter per minute. This is suitable for very large actuators. The next model we are launching is a safety model. Here you can connect one or two solenoid valve, and this is responsible for safe venting of our actuator. So in combination with our positioner CMSH, which is also a safety function, you can make some redundant safety architectures. So you can safety architectures like 1 out of 1, 1 out of 2, for example. What we else have is a second model for double-acting actuator. So for double actuator, you have no spring return to reach the safety function. So if you have a pressure loss, there's no possibility to move the actuator to the safety position. And here we have this kind of safety model. Here you can connect an additional pressure reservoir here. And in the case of a pressure drop down, you can move the actuator to the end position with the additional pressure reservoir. You can choose for fail to open or fail to close. With this additional model, you have this turnable insert here, and depending on the orientation of this turnable insert, it's possible to switch between fail to open or fail to close function. Okay.
And I think you missing one additional third module?
This is the last module, yes.
Yeah.
This is the air preparation filter regulator, and with the filter regulator you can adjust your pressure you need in your application, and also filtering for the air is possible with this filter regulator. It's very easy to exchange also the filter. We have different kind of filters here. You simply have to unscrew here on the front side, and you can simply replace the filter which is inside the filter regulator. It's also possible to attach directly a pressure gauge on the back side. So if you want to monitor directly the pressure, you have adjusted here.
Great. Well, these are the three modules which we mentioned we are launching into the market this year as a VTOP. Now, two additional small short questions I do have. One, whenever it is a modular system, important is, what about the sequence?
So there's, you can order it in any sequence, so there's no special sequence. So the filter regulator have not to be in the first part. It could be also in the last part, so there's no limitation in the sequence.
And what about expanding later on? So for example, if you have the VTOP with a booster, for example, later on you realize you need definitely also a filter regulator.
This is one of the main advantages. The installation is very simple, very safe, and also you can do a replacement or adding function very easily. You can do it on site. You can simply unscrew your model by 4 screws here and replace it or add a new functionality here. So if you compared what we have seen at the beginning with these very complex installations, this is very easy, very safe to assemble.
Great. And whenever we discussed, we have talked about the CMSH, we have talked about the VTOP. And you mentioned for the CMSH that, of course, as any positioner, it can be used for linear as well as for rotary actuators. I guess for the VTOP, it is the same case. And if this is the case, what about the interface? Because we talked about this interface specifically for the quarter-turn actuators. Yeah. I don't know if this is also available for linear.
Yes, this is also available for our linear actuators. We have also for linear actuators this internal air routing, and also we support single or double-acting function of actuators. So there's no limitation in this field. Yeah.
Well. Great. I think we have touched a lot of topics, as you have seen, on these two absolute new and innovative, by this case also the products. This is, I think we didn't promise too much by telling you that these are innovative and are going also to solve your problems on this situation we showed at the beginning with this additional piping and bending and fittings and so on, which are potential leakages, time consuming, as you mentioned, and they are also costly, because all these fittings and tubings, they also need first the handling of themselves, but also the purchasing price is quite high. Well, with that being said, this closes our session, our workshop so far. We have seen the internals also of these products, and now I would like actually to be, I'm curious, Doro, to invite you to see whether there are any questions in the chat.
Thank you. There were so many questions that you posed to Patrick. Thank you very much for that. But there are two more.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I missed them one.
Maybe. No, you didn't. Perfect presentation, very short to watch you, and we can feel that you burn for the technology that you showed us in the last 25 minutes. So thanks to Alex and Patrick. Ladies and gentlemen, two questions. I'd like to pass them to the gentleman. Hi, says Andrea. What additional options does the positional CMSH offer?
Okay.
Patrick?
So the positional CMSH is a modular product system. There are many options you can choose. Some of them I have shown here. Functional safety, for example, explosion protection is also an option. But we have also additional options. For example, you can see here we have limit switches. Different kind of limit switches are integrated in our positioner as options. So if you want to have an independent and position sensing, there's also an option for additional circuit boards. We have analog position feedback option. We have digital outputs for status feedback, for example, as an option. And also, what we have as option, we have our mounting interface. This mounting interface is especially for our new standard here, but we have also different mounting interfaces, like the conventional one, the classical installation one. We have a mounting interface. It's simply done by this pneumatic adapter here. And also we have options like a fail-in-place version, like a fail-safe version. So there are many possibilities to fulfill the requirements for different kinds of application.
Perfect. Guys, now there's action in the chat. One question after the other, so maybe short answers. I hand over. What type of X certificates do you offer?
It's explosion protection. It's intrinsically safe explosion protection. And also for dust, we have an ignition protection type for dust type housing.
Is it available with in vitro certification?
Yes, sure. We are planning also in vitro on all other local certificates.
Perfect. I hope we have still time for that.
We do.
With this redundant construction available, can the whole VTOP system reach SIL3 or even SIL4?
We reach with this 3 at least, with some redundancy. And SIL4, it's depending on the application.
I just got the sign 3 minutes to go. So
Yeah.
we can breathe. And I have one more question. Can you tell us more about the cost savings of the VTOP installation concept? And ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 minutes. Send your questions. Take the chance.
I take this one. Regarding the VTOP, we showed at the beginning and also explained you about the advantages you have in the operation later on, and this is important to be considered. From the beginning, we have our estimation and analysis is that with the VTOP, compared to this rigid piping, what Patrick showed at the beginning, you can save down up to 30% roughly in the installation cost. However, it would be too less, let's say, to consider only that one, because as you have seen later on in maintenance, if you need, for example, later on to attach and to add some additional modules and additional functions in maintenance, for example, it is much easier. So all these costs would need to be considered as well. So it is at least, the answer would be at least 30%, if not even more, especially if you consider the TCO concept over the lifetime of the product itself.
Great, perfect. So I double check if there is one more. It's not, but the good thing is all your contact information from you, Alex, and from you, Patrick, are on our company profile here at the ACHEMA Pulse portal. So check out for your contact person also in your language. You can contact all our experts in your language from all over the world. Video call, normal call, chat function, email, everything is possible. I say again, thank you very much to you guys for this great presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, check out for our sessions for tomorrow. There is a lot to go. We start at 8:30 with the first session of Festo here at ACHEMA Pulse 2021. Hope to see you there. Have a great evening. And it's soccer time tonight, so good luck for us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.